So, Booksmarts, if you're out there, debate me, bruh. Debate me, bruh, unless you are a fucking coward. You called me out on irrelevance. You were full of shit, Booksmarts. I know I sound really angry and stuff, but I'm doing that on purpose to provoke you, okay? And I'm provoking you because I want you to debate me, because I think it'd be fun. And, like, don't worry, I don't bite that hard. I scratch. It's what I do. I mostly scratch. But you can take that, Booksmarts. You've got strong arms. Like, I'm sure you can take a little scratching, you know, from a cat. Yeah, you can handle that, right? Booksmarts, debate me. Or else you suck. There we go. There we go. There it is. Clip it and ship it. We're going to debate Booksmarts, right? Because Booksmarts decided to offer kind of an uninformed opinion on me on irrelevance. And I'm not really mad about it, but I would love to talk to Booksmarts because I've had Booksmarts on before, and I would think better of Booksmarts, okay? Look, Booksmarts and me don't agree on politics. There's a lot of shit we don't agree on, but generally I think Booksmarts is usually pretty, you know, pretty like it's a reasonable fucking person, right? And so for this stupid take to come out of Booksmart's mouth, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? But let's see what Booksmarts is thinking about Destiny right now, because that is who Booksmarts is talking to. Let's take a look.
If you asked me, when's your birthday? And I said, oh, my birthday. Fuck. Every summer we go out to like the countryside and we celebrate it over there. Like June 16th is just such a wonderful day to like go out and enjoy the sun. It's just such a perfect time of year. And then you went, how can you say you answered the question when you said all this shit about the countryside in summertime?
This is what I appreciate about Booksmarts. I did answer the question. Okay,
I explicitly said in there what it was.
This is what I appreciate about Booksmarts.
You know, you choosing to like look at the ratio of like what you felt was relevant versus what was
shit like this, and it drives me nuts.
Is irrelevant.
And Booksmarts zeroes in on it and says, "Wait a minute, I see what you did there," and he calls him on that. I love that. Yes. I fucking love that.
Okay. I don't know.
So this is Destiny talking to Booksmarts.
Moderated debate. He's just going off. I don't know.
Yeah, Booksmarts, seriously, get at me. I'm not mad at you.
If I let him ramble,
like, right?
Especially
I'm not gonna call you ad homs or anything. Okay.
And he's moralizing everything. So like basically every time he starts,
I just want to talk. I just want to ask you a few questions.
And we're not like I don't think we actually got anywhere in any part of our conversation in any of this. Like I don't think we moved more than one level down on any time. I don't know what you're supposed to do in that.
It's interesting that your takeaway was that like those were the issues
because
I felt that you knew that you couldn't interrupt. Like I think you were well aware of the optics of that, so you avoided it for the most part. Until the end. In the end, it was the back and forth that you asked to happen in the very beginning, so you were in your element there.
Very good.
I'm not worried about like being in my element or whatever.
Oh my god, I love it when Destiny bristles.
Anywhere in the conversation, and I don't think we did on anything. Because every time I would try to get an answer from him so that we could move back and forth on a point, it would be another 2-minute diatribe. It was driving me fucking crazy.
Destiny, you too. If you've got any questions for me, as you may well have,
answers that he gives, and you completely.
I'm willing to answer those on or offline.
Mixed in with a bunch of bullshit.
I think you might have a few questions for me. I think there might be a few things you'd like to clear up.
But he does give.
Maybe I've got some explaining to do. Do I have some explaining to do, Destiny?
Anymore because it was surrounded by a bunch of other stuff. That's fine by me.
I'm willing and able to be held accountable.
You had to be listening for them.
So if we go back to his 3 definitions of socialism. My first problem is that for the first one,
wait, are we talking Richard Wolff? We're still on.
I'm still not entirely sure if that
this debate sucked, by the way. Like I was built up for this. I was excited for this debate, and
I used a phrase several times that he got
like
upset at, where I would call it worker managed, and he would say I never said anything about worker managed, but then he would go on. Like I think like 10 seconds later to say like a workplace that's like democratically voted on.
What do you think, chat? What was going on between Destiny and Booksmarts? What was going on here?
There's a third kind, which I.
What do you think about this debate, chat? I need to hear from you. I need you to
doesn't
wake
care
up
all that much.
and talk
Whether
to
the
me.
government runs an
Hello?
enterprise or the private
I'm a
does,
cat girl
they can
at your
figure out
service.
whichever one works better. Let's be real
Chat, you
practical.
gotta understand.
But for them, what
There's
socialism
only
means
one
is the
official cat
transformation
girl
of the
per
everyday life
quadrant
of working
of the
people.
galaxy.
For these socialists, like
So you're pretty
me,
lucky to be
the
like
crucial thing is to
watching her
reorganize
stream right now,
the
right?
workplace, to bring real democracy. Can you believe it? To the place where we
All
work.
of your cat
The
girl
workers
needs
make the
can
key
be
decisions.
attended to
They
by
are
yours
their
truly,
own board
who
of
now
directors.
possesses the magical white hair,
in Spain
allowing me
is
to
something
access
called
the spirit
Mondragon
realm
Cooperative
and the
Corporation.
material
It's
world
a
at the
family
same
of worker
time. I'm a
co-ops.
good person to know,
You're
chat.
not even worker managed though. I
That's
don't know,
clout.
this isn't even a good.
I never
That's
used
real
the
clout.
phrase worker management. Managers are not what we're talking about. Owning and operating. If you want
My favorite
use
with
a
Richard
word,
Wolff
it's
is when he
workers
like
as their
when he's
own
trying to talk to
boss.
Destiny and he
Workers
kind of like
as
leans
their
down like
own
this,
board
and
of
it looks like he's
directors.
trying to
The very
get to
first
him.
problem
It looks like he's like
of-
coming. Like, I'm gonna
the
get
debate
you,
with the first
Destiny. I'm gonna
blunder
come
I
down
felt
out of
like
the
from
picture and
you
get
was
you.
focusing on
It's so
that
funny. I don't know.
definition number
I don't know
one.
why I think it's
If
so
you
funny. I'm
didn't
weird,
think
chat.
the
I'm a little bit
definition
weird.
number one
It's okay.
lined up with what you thought socialism
forgive
to
me.
be, and he gave you
You'll
three
forgive me.
different options and said the third one is the one that I believe in, I was surprised that you chose to focus in on number one rather than focus in on number 2 and 3, which you yourself admitted are the only ones that could answer your
Yeah,
5
man.
questions and move the conversation forward.
But the problem is that that's explicitly what I'm trying to avoid. Well, I don't know if we ever had to establish this in the conversation, but socialists impugn capitalists. So I'm not going to let him give me a definition of socialism that includes capitalism and then only try to skirt around like the third most hardcore definition that he gave while he's already like encompassed the majority of like social democracy under his first definition.
Oh,
Like,
chat, by
like
the
that- they
way,
have
I wanted
iron
to
it
talk
out
to you
right
about
there, because
something.
I understand that he's got like 3 different definitions, but between the 3, it's
I am trying to set up a debate between myself and Dr. Heemdout. Now, I want you to understand, this isn't going to be like a Dylan Burns debate. This is going to be one-on-one. Dr. Heem is going to be very clear that we are debating. We are at odds. We are like, we disagree on a little something, right? And we're just going to have it out between the concept of social democracy and democratic socialism, and we're going to see which wins in the battlefield of ideas. And we're going to have fun too, because I really like Dr. Heemdout. Dr. Heemdout is a cool person. Dr. Heemdout, I know, is not going to fucking blow up and cancel me just because, whatever happens in the debate. Debates are fun. Debates are nice. You can lose a debate and you're still okay. You don't have to take it out on your... And you don't have to take it out on the person that debated you. We can have debates and we can be friendly and it could be a nice thing. And that's what I want to get back to. I want to get back on the horse chat. And because the last debate kind of scared me. I haven't had anybody fucking snowflake on me. But yeah, in spite of the snowflakery, I would like to say that I wish Dylan Burns a successful recovery from the medical issues that he's currently dealing with. So yeah, looks like he's back on stream now. So hopefully he's feeling better, and that's scary stuff, Dylan. So yeah, in spite of all our differences, I do wish you well, and I do hope you get better, because that is yeah, not easy stuff to deal with. Let's get back to book fucks.
so broad. He's already encompassed like 95% of liberal ideology.
How much did you want to have those 5 questions answered? Because I feel like that's what you wanted to do here.
I wanted them answered quite a bit, but I don't want. Yeah, but we never got back and forth on.
I love
anything.
this
Every
guy.
time
I
after a
love this
question, we
guy.
started
I love
talking
this
about,
guy.
like, feudalism and I don't know. I don't know. I was just incredibly unsatisfied. You might want to argue that there are things that I could have done maybe to navigate the conversation better, but you're essentially asking me that, given a child, can you get a correct answer out? And I think it's possible, but holy fuck, it was so
I'm not a
incredibly
fan. Chat,
difficult.
what do you think about that
One
font?
of those 5 questions answered.
Booksmarts.
You said
I
in the
also want to
debate-
debate you on
Okay,
that font.
So you're giving me 3
I
definitions.
don't think it's a
2
good
and
one.
3 would seem to be able to
You-
answer
you
my 5
obviously
questions.
do.
I'm interested in
We
talking
can debate about
that.
fonts,
However,
okay?
here's this question about number
We can debate
1,
about fonts.
and then you toss
That
the
would be
mic
good.
back over to him to answer about the one thing that had no potential to answer any of
You
your
might
5
even change my
questions.
mind.
I understand. I can't get to the 5 questions because my 5 questions have to do with people that ardently defend the concept of socialism. But I'm not even sure what he thinks socialism or capitalism is.
And Moe
How?
Moe
He gave you
Kyun
different
to you.
definitions.
Yeah, but those three are completely contradictory. Like one precludes three
They
precludes one.
disagree with each other. That was part of the narrative. That
You
he explained
fucking
to you, that
nerds. What
these
are we
the
even
three
talking about?
conflicting
Chat,
ideas about socialism
orient me.
right
What
now.
is
If I
number
could
1,
group
number
them
2, and
into
number
groups,
3?
they
I
would be
forgot
helpful
already.
for
This
us.
is
There are some
boring.
that don't fit
This
in
is
this,
boring.
and
You're
whatever.
nerds.
But here they
Sure,
are.
Nerds.
And at some
Why are
point,
you
I
such
realized
nerds?
it's pointless to go down this road of like
Nerds.
defining all of these. So then I try to get an answer for, well, what do you think capitalism is then? And I can't even get an answer for that.
You
Or
did get
I'm
an
curious.
answer for that.
What does he think that capitalism is? Can you tell me?
Yes. He says that
Capitalism is when the
involves
market does
a relationship between an employer and an employee that is sealed by
I'm gonna
a contract.
fucking
Capitalism.
troll some
It's not a
people in
master
here
and
if
a
I'm not
slave.
careful.
It's not a lord and a serf. It's a completely different arrangement. It's a contract. It's an employer.
Like the way his
and an
camera is
employee.
arranged, it looks
They
like
don't
he's
swear
coming.
anything
Look,
to
he's
one
gonna.
another,
He's like
and neither
looking down
owns
at
the
Destiny,
other
like
one.
from the,
But
like
they
he's
enter
God or
into a
something. He's like,
contract
"Ah,
in which the
I'm coming to
employer
get you."
says,
I don't know,
I'm going
chat.
to
It's
give you
funny.
a wage
It's funny.
at the end of the week.
Am I
You're
weird?
going to give me your brains and muscles
Chat,
for
can
these
you normalize
hours
my
of
weirdness
these
for me,
days.
please?
And that's a
Chat.
deal we're going to make. And that's how we organize
Will you
production.
normalize my
That's not
weirdness?
that has nothing to do with
Just
cap- I don't know what the
normalize
fuck
it. Just
that
be like,
means.
Irene,
Well,
it's
like,
totally
not knowing
normal
what
that
it
you're
means
fucking
is very
weird.
different
It's
from not
completely
having given you a
normal.
Okay.
definition.
There's nothing to worry
You're-
about.
hold
You're
on.
just like everyone
My bad.
else. Everyone's
2021
weird.
Destiny, rhetoric.
You're not weird. You're
That
fine,
definition is
Irene.
fucking
Everything's
wrong.
okay.
Okay. That's not
Nobody's-
what capitalism is. That definition is so unbelievably vague. It could describe.
But did you see
an
that shit? The way
internship.
that, like,
could
it looks
describe
like
a,
he's like that.
employee-employee
You know what I mean? He's like,
relationship at, a capitalist
he's like,
firm. You could use it to
he looks like
describe
Zeus. He's
indentured
gonna fucking
servitude.
throw
Like,
lightning
that
bolts.
doesn't
Like,
mean anything.
fuck you,
An
Destiny.
employer and an employee. I don't know if that
It's
means
so good.
nothing.
It's so good.
That's not what capitalism is.
It would have been interesting if you would have made some kind of argument around that definition.
Okay,
which you
Richard
kind of do
Wolff,
later when you
Zeus
mention market.
cosplay.
But
when
you didn't, because then
Richard Wolff,
you asked the question again.
when
I think my main advice to you here is you should probably be more flexible in accepting answers that don't fit into your preconceived notions of what they ought to be. Like,
But that's part
you
of what the
being-
whole that's part of what the whole conversation is about. This is the frustrating thing, is that like, and I guess we never really actually get to frame anything this way because the conversation never makes progress anywhere. But it's not
That's
fair
true.
for-
That's true. That conversation
my
was
issue coming
really
into this,
annoying
The reason
for
why
me.
I went on my whole tirade on Twitter.
I
is
wanted that
socialists will impugn liberals
debate to be
constantly.
better.
Anytime I talk to a socialist, they don't know what the fuck socialism is. Most of them don't know what capitalism is. Most of them seem like they are kind of liberals. Like people say, "Oh, I'm a socialist. I want to be a socialist like they are." in Denmark and Sweden."
Obviously,
People in Sweden and
socialism is
Denmark
when
don't consider
cat
themselves
girls do
socialists. Isn't that true?
things.
So like when I ask them,
Right?
well, what is socialism?
Oh no,
They're
that's
like,
anarchism.
well, here are the three answers.
Anarchism is when cat girls do things.
Capitalism? That's when there's an employer and an
Socialism is
employer.
when cat boys do
Okay,
things.
we literally have nothing to argue about. Like I don't even know what the fuck I'm here for at this point. Like this isn't an argument over anything. Like and I'm pretty sure when I try to
libertarian
get, like, more
socialism
specific answers, like, well, okay, well,
is
that's
when,
not capitalism. Like, I just get more lectures.
You're really plastering over a lot by just calling them lectures. If I was to put what
Oh,
you're
it's
saying
when
in the most good way
VGGers
possible, and I've heard you
pretending
say this
not to be
before, like when we
furries
talked
do
about Vosh, and
things.
you were like, he's not even
That's
answering my question. I'm like, well, he did. He gave you good
Libertarian
answers, and he
socialism.
explained what his position was. And you're like, but do you realize how unsatisfying
AKA
that is?
anarcho-Bidenism.
Do you really still not understand his argument, though?
I think I understand. I think
The
what
cat
he
boys
says
are good.
he's
Yeah,
saying,
we
I
do.
just-
The cat boys are
I
great.
don't
I
truly
got-
believe that he believes
we need
it.
cat
There's
girls, we
absolutely
need
no
cat
difference
boys.
in the real world between like a socialist and a capitalist living in a capitalist system.
But he would hope that they do better.
Oh my god, that's such a. Why do you say that?
Wait, what debate
Because
is
that's
this?
what he
Is
says.
this
But that doesn't mean anything.
I guess that's like consistent with the
That's
position.
Destiny's side, wait. Is this a
Yeah, I
previous
guess, but
conversation?
deeply unsatisfying to me, and I think how
what are we
a lot of
looking
people
at?
view these kind of statements. But sure.
Yeah, it's unsatisfying to
Okay,
you.
that
but
was
that doesn't
a
mean it
previous-
wasn't an answer or that they weren't telling
that-
the truth or they dodged out of questions.
I'm
like,
trying to
it's just
figure
that
out.
what
Oh,
they
anyway,
believe is unsatisfactory.
Doesn't
to
matter.
So I needed to more pointedly tell him at the end of every
N'importe
answer that
pas.
he was incorrect and that he needed to be more
N'importe
specific.
pas.
Is that what I should have said? Or
So I would start by like, okay, so you're saying that capitalism revolves around the
N'importe
employer-employee
quoi.
relationship that's like kind of sealed with a contract or a pact in a similar way to feudalism being between
I
lords
think
and
I
serfs.
tried to rephrase him a couple times, and every single time I did, he was like, "No, that's not the case. No, that's not the case.
No,
No, that's not
you
the
didn't.
case."
like,
So
"No,
what you
that's
said,
not the
and I have a
case."
quote because I expected that you would say this.
It was a
You
funny
immediately
debate.
responded with,
I do have
You
to
haven't
admit it
given me
was
a
a funny
definition of
debate.
capitalism at all. You've told me a bunch of things that capitalism isn't, and then you've given me a bunch of random collected facts of history.
You don't do a very good job
It's
of
a pretty
like,
good video,
breaking it
Booksmarts.
apart
You
and
do a
going,
good job
you're
of
saying that
editing.
an employer-employee
Much better than
relationship
Mr.
is the
Geek.
defining feature of
But
capitalism.
that doesn't
then
really
what
say
about
much,
X,
does it?
Y, and Z that have those, but I would consider
Wait,
them
does
to be
Mr. Geek do
socialism or
editing for this
feudalism or
dude?
anything else.
Does
Like,
Mr.
that
Geek
would
do
have been a
editing?
productive
Don't
way
tell
forward,
me.
but you don't do
Don't
that.
tell
You
me this is a
disregard
Mr.
the
Geek
entire
job.
thing, and you just say that he didn't give you an answer, which is not the
If it was
truth.
Mr.
Your
Geek, he would probably have
inflexibility
some picture
in
of
confronting
Irene
his
somewhere.
answers leads to you like derailing the conversation, unfortunately.
I guess I
He's
just
a little bit
expected like
obsessed.
more like understanding and conciseness from somebody that's supposedly
to
like a
s-
professor.
it's
of
easy to
econ.
see
Like,
why,
not
though.
like such a jarbled gum.
I can imagine somebody getting
mess of
totally
shit,
fascinated.
I guess, but maybe my expectations were too high. Maybe I should have treated him like a child, or
Well, if you want to be,
I mean,
you know,
sure,
super
yeah.
reductive about it, you can.
Be
but like,
be super reductive.
I don't think
Destiny.
that's a fair way to characterize him. Because while you think that the responses were like too long, which I
See,
agree
this is
with,
what I mean.
it's
I
not
feel
it
like
was a
he's
bunch
being
of
pretty
unrelated
fair.
gobbledygook. Like they were
Does
things
like
that were
he's
setting
usually
up
pretty
parallels so you
fair.
could better
Booksmarts, what's your
understand
problem with
his
me?
final answer.
You missed.
nothing that was said.
You
was
missed on this one.
needed
You're
to
usually
expand
pretty
upon
good.
or to give like any answer.
When it
they
comes
had
to
at all.
analyzing
That's the whole
situations,
reason why all the
figuring out
background
who's
stuff is
lying,
just
who's telling the
garbled,
truth,
yeah.
figuring out
I would
what's right
argue
and what's
it would
wrong.
have
Well,
helped, but it
no.
sounds like you just
I mean, obviously we
didn't
have
listen
different
and
ethics.
took it
Obviously we
too
have a
personally.
different
If you have
political
a good
framework,
understanding of
but
something and you're a good
like
interlocutor,
I think you're a pretty
if
good
I'm having a
judge on
super
these
hard
things
trouble
usually. I'm
grasping any of your
surprised you
answers,
fucked up
the
so
problem's not
badly
you. The problem's
and
not on me.
embarrassed yourself on
I think I do a
irrelevance.
decent job at listening. I was taking notes
Because we
during the entire
watched you
conversation.
book.
If we're having
Listen.
this much trouble getting through the conversation, especially when
Look, we watched you and you did not come off well. I would love to give you another chance to just put us in your mindset, sort of walk us back through, how it looked to you. Cause like, hey, I haven't looked at this situation from the outside. Maybe it's really confusing. Maybe it really seems to cut the other way. I don't know. I would love to see an outsider's view of the situation and why you thought that it was safe to conclude that because I deleted a VOD that I had made death threats, Booksmarts. We disproved that, right? So that's not on the table anymore. And I'm not here to castigate you or something. I just want to know. What were you thinking? What were you thinking? Oh my god, I'm gonna make that a meme. I'm so sorry, chat.
guy is supposedly a professor.
Some people
it
know what
shouldn't
I'm
be
talking
that hard for
about.
me to
Some people
understand
know.
exactly what's going on, especially when they're like concrete moments where he says dumb shit and then he has to back off it later. Or I don't know. I reject that idea.
Yeah,
That, I just needed to
Professor
be trying
Wolff.
way harder. And it was all my
Correct.
fault for not like trying hard to understand about it.
What were
If
you
anything, I
thinking?
feel like I should have reframed things more aggressively.
So to be fair to you, I'm not putting this wholly on you. I spent a good part of the review shitting on him for being long-winded in not putting
Fair.
his explicit answer
Fair.
at the
It's
very
fair.
beginning.
I don't like the phrase of long-winded. It's more than just being long-winded.
Oh,
it's obfuscating.
you're letting
it's
him off the
dancing,
hook
it's giving
by
concealment
saying
to your
long-winded.
position, and it's
Interesting.
making it
It's
hard
not.
to further the
That's
conversation.
completely
It
bad
is.
faith because these are all parallels.
It's not bad
here.
faith.
This is what I'm
Where do
talking
you
about.
think
Look,
you're
look.
obfuscating?
Okay, look.
I still don't know 100%.
Booksmarts, what I like about you obviously isn't your politics, because we disagree on that, but it's the fact that you speak truth to power. You are somewhat of a court jester figure. You are able to talk to Destiny, and like sometimes he pushes you away and calls you book fucks and treats you like shit, and sometimes he listens to you, and sometimes he learns from you, and so, but at the very least, you're able to speak to him and you're able to say what you really think, and you don't have to kiss his butt like so many other people do. Booksmarts, that's something that I respect about you. That's something that I would like to be able to do. That's what I was trying to do with Dylan. And hey, if you want to come on here and tell me what I could have done better in the conversation with Dylan, I'd be open to that too. Because you are a good rhetoric coach, and I would appreciate your take on that. Agree or disagree, I would appreciate your take on that.
I don't even know what the fuck his third definition of socialism means. Like, you want a society where, like, I think I say everything is co-ops, and this is not everything, but right now we have, like, a lot of capitalism and a little
You
bit of
work
co-ops,
at the
and I
school
want,
that
like,
Professor
a lot of co-ops and a little
Wolff
bit of the
teaches?
others.
Nice.
What's different from your vision than what
You don't
we
have to say what that is. I don't want
Well,
anybody
what we
giving...
have today is
Don't
predominantly
ever feel
capitalist
obligated to
with
give personal
smatterings of the
information.
other. I'm interested
in
in
these
having
spaces.
predominantly socialist with smatterings
See, he's
of
doing
the
this.
other.
He's doing this
What does
kind
that
of
even mean?
thing.
Like, what does that even mean? Like, these answers are so
Smatterings.
unbelievably
He wants the
fucking
smatterings,
stupid. I would
Destiny. Do you
cringe
not
if I
understand the
responded to a question
smatterings?
like this.
And that's
Like you're
fine.
eating
Like,
your
he's
hash
not
browns,
well-suited to
and
this.
there's
He's
little
used to
smatterings
being-
of butter
No, like, hold on,
throughout.
I'll
It's not
stop
like
because
butter
I've
that's
seen you,
melted all the
scream
way
at people
through.
about this.
It's
Sure,
smattered
He needs to work on this.
in little
Like, that is
discrete
very
locations.
clear.
You're like,
He's a
there's some butter,
debater.
there's some butter,
Yes, I've
eating
heard
through
you
the hash
talk with
browns,
other
no butter,
people,
no butter,
so
no
I'll
butter,
avoid
there's
this
some butter,
landmine with you, but
eating through the hash browns,
it
no
just
butter, no
sucks
butter,
to
no
see
butter,
you
there's some
focus
butter.
on the other person so much
It's
when there are
smattered.
clearly things that you could work on
It's
here.
smattered.
And I think that you're going to get more out of like trying to improve yourself than like expecting more of other people.
Why do I put
'Cause
butter
that's
in
outside
hash
of your
browns? That's
control.
weird. I'm a
More
weirdo.
aggressive. The moderator.
I'm a
Should've been
weirdo.
cutting him off the whole time. I should have said, Wolf, shut the fuck up.
Why was Surfs the moderator?
Because he's the one that put the debate together.
I mean,
Okay, that's what I figured.
see,
A
it's
good
the
moderator would have
socialists.
helped there.
You
There was
don't.
a time
You
when
let
he
the
answered a
socialists
question
set the
and he didn't
debate
even
up. That's
remember
why
what
it
the
went
fucking
wrong.
question was.
It's those
Wait,
damn
what was the
fucking.
original question?
Those
We
damn
were asking
those
how we
damn
react to
tanky
that
serfs.
inequality.
No.
Those damn
The question
tanky.
was why. I asked you, why do you think Bezos is compensated so much more than
Those
like a frontline
Stalinist
employee? Do you
serfs.
think that the demand for those talents is equal?
Hey, Melina.
Q&A, really,
Meow,
really
meow,
bad.
meow.
Totally agree with you
I
there.
think I like
but I
Melina.
don't think you could apply that
That's
same
totally
thing to, like,
parasocial.
the
I
definitions
don't know
of
Melina
socialism
at all.
question,
I
because
just like
you
randomly
did- you
see her
gave
in the
an answer
Destiny
there,
videos, and she's
you
like,
actually
she seems
missed it
cool.
because you started attributing positions
Right?
to
I
him
don't
that are
know.
incorrect.
Hey,
or you
Melina.
just say,
Love
I
ya.
still don't know what you
Wait.
believe about socialism when he told you, and then he has to spend
I guess
time
like I guess the
reiterating what he
problem-
said the first time because you didn't listen.
So yeah, so I guess what I should have said is I need you to actually give me a real answer instead of rambling like a dipshit. I should have said on number 3, can you give me like precise mechanisms by which you would enact this world? Because you have literally talked for 3 minutes and said fuck all, Professor. That's what I should have said.
Sure, but
I
that's
should
a
have said, I
very
need you to tell
different
me what the
question,
fuck.
Steven. That's a very,
Dude,
very different question.
this is the
than what
jerk
your
store.
definition
I
of
guess
This
socialism
is
my-
this
you
is
gave
I would
me.
Stephen
assume that-
coping.
I would assume that in
I
the
should have
course of a
said
debate,
the
you'd be
jerk
giving
store
actual answers
called,
of material
and they're
you're going to
running out of
grapple with. You wouldn't just be
you.
saying, "Well, socialism."
But
on
you
number
didn't,
3
did
is
you?
when the
You
workers
did it.
are
You missed.
live happy
You
lives
missed the
and plant
chance.
flowers and
Sorry.
have more control over the workplace. What the fuck does that mean?
You didn't.
Does that mean we all take
You
a
didn't
poll
say
every,
the
like, 3
spicy
hours,
thing.
like,
Sorry,
to see what we wanna eat
Steven.
for lunch? Like,
If you're interested in what democracy in the workplace looks like, you could have asked that, but you didn't. You said he didn't give you an answer to your question, and you continued by inserting your own definition for that, or attributing definition number 1 to him, which is just completely false.
I've been black-pilled on the academia shit. I will no longer assume any of these people have any level of education. When I
You
ask
can.
a question
I'm
like, what is
sad to hear
socialism?
that because
I'm
there's
gonna-
so much you can
No, because-
improve
no, no,
on, and if
because
that's
if
your
I-
take,
Oh, yeah,
you're
yeah.
just being ignorant about the conversation.
If I was
No worries,
talking-
no
if
worries.
I'm
Yeah, we
talking
just
to
wanna
somebody
keep people
that's
safe.
educated and I ask you what socialism is, and you give me the garbage answers this guy gives you, I assume that you're some undergrad that read 2 pages of Capital and then spent the rest of his evening on Twitter. Because nothing that he says has any substance. There's nothing that's interesting here. There's nothing that is, to use your word, satisfying here. There's no prescriptions for society. There's no critiques of capitalism. It's literally just a bunch of like that means absolutely nothing.
How
Like,
can you
does
say that
anybody-
when he gave you an entire history of socialism and explain how those 3 different elements ended up where they were? Like, you just completely
Okay,
didn't
can you give
listen
me
to
one?
him.
Sure.
This
So
is what
can
I
you,
like about
after all this
Booksmarts.
debate on socialism versus
Not a
capitalism,
socialist.
can you
Not
give
a
me
fan
one
of
concrete
leftism
step that
at
you would want to
all.
take towards making
Hates
socialism a
leftism.
thing?
Thinks that
You
we're
didn't ask
silly.
that, did you?
Probably thinks that we're stupid, honestly.
Okay,
But
can you
still,
tell me what he thinks
giving
socialism
Professor
would
Wolff
look like
a fair
in society?
shake.
Like one concrete way that it would look in
That-
society?
And I don't
Yeah,
understand
the
if you
number
can
of
do that. If
companies
you can
that are
give
run by the
Professor
workers
Wolff
would
a
be
fair
greater
shake,
than the number of
Booksmarts,
companies that are privately
Booksmarts,
owned or that
Booksmarts.
engage
Why
in an
can't you give me a
employer-employee
fair
relationship?
shake?
And what does he mean?
Why
when he
can't you
says
give
that?
this femoid a
number
fair
of companies
shake,
run by
Booksmarts?
workers? Because he doesn't mean worker owned or worker managed, I guess. Because I said that a few times and he
No, he
always
doesn't
took
care
issue
about
with it.
who owns it, which he said in the definition of number 3, which you missed because you didn't care about it or it was unsatisfactory to you.
I don't know what it means for the workers to
Oh my
manage
god,
something
I
who
love
don't own
this.
it.
I fucking love this. I mean, I
asked
don't
him a
hate
question
Destiny.
about
I'm not
that,
saying
but
this.
you
I'm not
didn't.
like
Yeah,
it's
I
not
guess so. We should've-
Schadenfreude
we
or
should've
anything.
started
Like, I
back
don't have
on-
anything
we should've
against
went off page
Destiny.
1. What is?
I just feel
what
like
is
nobody
economics to
ever
you?
like
What does the word
speaks
economy
truth to
mean?
power.
Yeah,
It
fuck
makes
me.
me
All
sad
right.
to see you jump to those
Booksmarts.
kinds of like, oh, we should
Come
have
on my
I should have
stream.
treated him like an 8-year-old.
Teach
or,
me
oh,
how
then we should have
to
fucking did economics.
safely
Like, it feels like you
speak
just
truth
like
to
give up
power.
in the
Because
conversation
I feel like
with me when you're doing
you
stuff like that,
understand
which
this
is
a little bit better
unfortunate
than
'cause
I
there's, like,
do.
stuff you could improve on here, but
I
you're, like, running
need
away
the
from it.
knowledge
My
that you've
main
got,
thing is to, like,
Booksmarts.
help help you improve. or to,
Okay?
like, see blind spots, you know. So that's where I'm focused.
This is
and I
me
just
saying
think this
that
is
you
a big
know
blind
something
spot.
that I don't
actually
know,
think
and
you
I
might
would
be
like
able
to know that
enjoy
thing.
more conversations with different people that answer in different different ways, if you're just more flexible and understanding of answers that don't fit within your like preconceived notion of what they should be.
It's not about it being preconceived. It's that his answers fit every possible thought that I had.
Yeah, it's almost like he's like in your head and he's answering perfectly, but not everybody's going to be like that. I don't have to tell you that.
He's not in my head answering perfect. It's like you asked me, like, well, what is capitalism? Well, that's when there's employees and employers. All right, let's debate on what's better. Like, what the fuck? I don't know what the fuck. Okay, listen.
Yeah, and you didn't even catch that definition. So, like, that would have been a better version of Steven than I saw in this debate.
Well, I don't even know what I responded to that, because Christ, talk about fucking ambushing somebody with the craziest dumb fuck answers in the world. What would I even respond to that when he said that?
Let me see.
I don't know if you wrote that one down.
Yeah, I did. That's what I already told you, but you already don't remember. It would have been interesting if you would have made some kind of argument around that definition, which you kind of do later when you mention markets. But you didn't, because then you asked the question again.
I think I tried to rephrase him a couple times, and every single time I did, he was like, no, that's not the case. No, that's not the case. No, that's not the case.
So what you said, and I have a quote because I expected that you would say
Dude,
this.
with editing like
no,
this,
it's not. You have not given me a definition of
I better
capitalism.
not try to. I better not try to sneak anything past Booksmarts.
It's not a definition of capitalism. An employer and an employee. Should I have said saying that there's an employer and employee is not a definition of capitalism? Did I need to explicitly repeat his answer back to him?
I think anything would be better than saying you haven't answered my question when he gave you an answer to the question.
I don't think you're gonna get one by Booksmarts. That's what I'm saying. You gotta be straight up.
Answer. You just disagree with it. So you need to figure out what parts of it you disagree with. What is the difference between your belief and his belief?
So then I should have repeated.
It's not narrow. That's narrow expectation of what the answer should be, and if it's not within those bounds, you say that's not an answer.
Chat, can we get Booksmarts in the Discord tonight? I would talk to you. Booksmarts, I would talk to you tonight if you had time on stream.
Where they're at and where you are at.
A nice,
like
friendly conversation.
Whether or not I'm 32 or 40 years old, and then he says, "Well, 2 + 2 is 5," and instead of me saying, "Hold on, 2 + 2 is not 5," you're saying that I need to ask him, like, "Oh, that's really fascinating. Can you tell me like how 2 + 2 = 5 to you?"
It's convenient to go to math where the answers are like what they are, but this isn't math.
The answer is what they are for capitalism. It's not that complicated. Stop saying that. What capitalism is not a very complicated thing.
Why at the time would you not have said, I understand, Professor, that you've said that the definition of socialism has evolved since Marx and those thinkers at that time. What I'm interested in is figuring out how we started there and got to your definition now. How do the means of production fit into the definition that you've given me? Because you've explained a relationship between employers and employees or about them running their own place, but what you haven't done is tell me about how the mode of production fits in there or this or that. Like that would have been much more productive than saying because I think when I
ask a question like that, I think it's an invitation to another 3-minute ramble about the relationships between all of the factors of production.
Yeah, like the invitation you gave him when you chose to focus on definition 1 that you thought was like ludicrous and stupid, rather than the
because
2
I didn't
and
know
3,
that
which
asking
fit
someone
in your 5 questions.
Because I don't want somebody to be able to claim that capitalism is socialism because it makes my entire argument moot. The debate is supposed to be capitalism versus socialism. He's assumed 90% of my economic system as part of his definition. I've already lost the conversation. He actually converted me to socialism in this debate just by his opening statement.
All right, let me explain this.
I'm understanding this correctly.
You completely missed this because you choose not to listen to him.
Destiny thinks that socialism is this alien thing that's completely different.
Is not possible, that they cannot implement it in the pure way that they're thinking. So they have resigned themselves to use the government as a tool to fix problems that exist in the worker's life, or to make this employer-employee relationship more palatable to people, more fair to the workers. That's already cooked in there, but instead of like taking the nuanced route and hearing him out and figuring out how those variables fit with your understanding of things, you just offhandedly throw away the entire thing, the baby with the bathwater.
Oh, okay. All right, is there anything else?
I mean, there's a lot, but it doesn't seem like you're hearing me out on these.
It's not a matter of me improving on it. I shouldn't have to accept this level of dipshittery in a conversation with somebody this smart. It's wholly unacceptable. Maybe that's me being an elitist as a college dropout or whatever. But like, if I had any comparable conversation, like I would just hang up. I'd be like, it would be like my conversation with Naked 8. We'd scream shut up at each other for 2 minutes, and then I'd hang up and I'd say, this guy has no fucking idea what he's talking about. I don't know why I wasted my fucking time.
I guess the only thing I'm going to ask you is, are you interested in this enough to like watch the review and try and see where you messed up? Or do you just want to assume that you did everything
Now
perfectly?
I want to
and
watch
that
the
problem is
review. God
moderator
damn it,
and your
Booksmarts, you
interlocutor
just
are
sold me
literally
on your
like
next
anybody else but
video.
you.
I think you
Or
need
your
to
last
take
video.
responsibility for
this-
the things that you
this
say
is
and
the-
do,
no.
and you need to be aware that like, oh, like I'm fucking up here, and I can do better.
I'm confused now.
I might
Okay.
go through and like rewatch parts of it on my own to see if I like missed like answers or whatever. But like
The
this like
review,
treating
like-
somebody like they're 2 years old, like he's smarter than this. Like I just like there's only like so much charitability I can extend without like committing suicide in a conversation. Like this is just unreal.
Dude,
to me.
he loves
Like,
to
I've had
go
better
for those, like,
educations with
spicy-
undergrads
like
in my
the-
community that like very
Like,
quickly
this-
can
if
teach
I
about
said
socialism
sh-
actually.
If
Those
I
are
used
people
language
that
like
choose
that,
to be flexible and to
I would
operate
be
with you on your
banned.
style, the
If
way that
I had
do
actually
when I
said
talk to
anything
you.
as
And I really
spicy
think that
as
you're just
Destiny
being
says on
flexible
the
and people are
reg
not giving
in
you
the Erist
satisfactory answers
conversation,
or don't,
that
like,
would have
meet up
been
to
enough
what you
to like
expect the
delete. I
conversation
swear
be.
to God,
I
that
think
would have
that's,
been
like, a
enough to
huge
get me
flaw.
banned.
And I'm seeing it right now in real time as I'm talking to you. And
I
rather
am
than address
totally
that, you
subject
wanna,
to a
like,
double
escape
standard.
out of it and blame it on literally anything else. And it's just
I'm
sad
not
for
blaming
me to
anything
see
on
that.
literally anything
Like,
else.
I don't
think
say
that the
shit
guy is a
about
shitty interlocutor.
suicide,
That's
right?
my
I don't-
takeaway
I don't-
from this. There are probably things that I can
That's
do
not
better
some. That's
to
not part of my
engage people like
discourse,
this,
right?
But fuck me, why the fuck would I waste my
But
time?
hey, let's
I
all
guess
let's
unless
all
they're
worry
famous
about
or I
the
can,
fucking
like, clout chase them with
femoid.
somebody like this, but
I am happy that you've been trying to improve your rhetoric, but like, man, it's very difficult to bring up to you things where I feel like you could do better. You're not initially like willing to hear me out on stuff, and change only ever happens when you've had time to ponder it on your own. So I'll assume that's the same thing here. And this is solidified for me now talking to you, is because when something's unsatisfactory, you just throw out the entire thing and pretend as if no answer was given to you. And then when I try to point you in that direction, you go, well, they're a fucking 8-year-old. I'm not talking to someone like they're 2, and my moderators suck. You just like flip out instead of like trying to see another way.
the only like super ultra high academic thing I can think of is like music. But like if I was having a conversation with somebody and they were giving me answers that were just so fundamentally wrong, like I would just walk away from the conversation.
But you can't
That's
do
what I
that
mean,
every
like,
time. And if you stay in a conversation
I
with
can,
somebody
though.
you want to walk away from, like, it's going to be like this. And I think if you just fix that, you wouldn't have to feel like you're
Okay,
going to
don't
throw
like the
your hands up
font.
and give up. You
Do
could
like
have, like,
the use of
tools
text.
and the ability that
Do
you
like
found
that.
to actually deal with somebody who's not giving you answers.
I wonder
that you
how
feel
long it takes to
satisfactory, and I
like
think that
do a
would be
video,
better for
like
you
how
in the
much longer
long
it
run.
takes to
I
make
love
your
you a
video
lot, dude.
with
I
all
really
the
wanna see
cuts.
you, you know,
Like, there's a
succeed.
lot of cuts in here.
Be careful.
You too. I have nothing personally against Denims, but it was very clear in her conversation with him that she
Wait,
has different
Denims?
motives and intentions than what I have in giving a review or giving advice. The fact that I was treated with the same kind
Wait.
of dismissal, you know, was upsetting. And
Chat,
when I
is
saw
this-
that in the moment, I thought it was important to highlight that and lean into it.
Is
and
this
not be
Booksmarts from, like,
rhetoric smarts, or
3
I'm trying to
years
build
ago or
rapport
something?
with him, or I'm trying to
Chat, what are
throw
we looking
stones
at?
Wolf so he feels better about getting
Wait.
one to him. I felt like abandoning all of that and demonstrating, you know, how
Why
he
did-
actually
wait.
behaves if I
I'm
were to push him
confused.
on it. If
I'm
you saw
confused. Is this
Booksmarts
Booksmarts? This is
trying the way he does
Booksmarts.
with his friends in private,
Why does
what
Booksmarts
does
look
that
like
I don't think he was
Booksmarts
looking very
just
good. And that's
de-aged
me
by
being
3 years?
incredibly patient, not talking over him and doing other things. So
What was that? Chat, was that a flashback? Am I wrong? That was just Booksmarts, right? It was just like maybe a different day or something? I don't know, chat. I don't know. That was weird. Okay, I'm weirded out. I'm freaked out. All right, what do we have? If we have, let's see. It's Booksmarts. Okay, there we go. I think this is the review, right?
this is what I show up for, dude. I like it when you're on top of it, dude. When you're on your A game. He takes a gazillion years to answer anything. What do you mean? If you ever
Somebody
do this
tell me
again,
who does these.
Professor,
Is this Mr.
do
Geek?
it like this.
Is this
Instead
Mr.
you
Geek
came
that
here
does
to get the
these?
5 questions answered
Like, this
by
is a
somebody
good
who's
video.
educated on this stuff.
I'm
Why you
not
choose
used to
not
seeing
talk
this
about
from
a string that
streamers.
could possibly answer your 5 questions is beyond me. We're going to go argumentative line
Maybe.
to argumentative
Maybe
line
Booksmarts is a
and
Time Lord. That
follow
would make
and
sense.
kind of
Yeah.
see where Destiny
Could
is
be.
missing
Could
answers
be.
or not accepting them, as well as what at a rhetorical level is causing
Oh my god, so
Richard
this
Wolff
is
to
a really
fail so
systematic.
bad,
This is
you
like
know?
kind of the opposite
Besides
of
just
how I
saying
do
the dude
debate
is
analysis.
long-winded, or he
Mine
takes
is just
forever
stream
to
of thought,
respond, or
right?
he's confusing.
Mine
or
is just
he
like
sounds he's
insert
giving
like
a
my little
lecture. Like,
commentary
let's
track.
actually dig into
But
that and have the
I
nuts
think
and
that
bolts necessary to have
Booksmarts kind of tries to
conversations
break
about
things
this
down
debate.
because
But I
what he's
feel the
really
need to
like
point out our
looking at is
usual
he's like
disclaimers.
dissecting the
I'm
rhetoric.
operating on multiple viewings, okay? I've been able to see this much more than once. I benefited from pausing, okay? I can pause
Pause
at any
it.
point. I can
Pause it.
rewind. I can check things that I think I missed. These are
Pause it.
opportunities and abilities that our debaters
Okay, so he
do
does a
not
lot more
have,
prep
right?
than I
So
do.
it's
See, you
important
can
to
see the
remember
different
that. When I'm
style
doing
of a
this
debate.
isn't to say
I mean,
that
this
these
is the
people
same thing
should
that I
have
do. This is
operated
debate
perfectly.
analysis. It's just
not
like
to say that they even should
Booksmarts
have
is
operated
coming at it from a
perfectly.
totally
It's
different.
To give them advice and to give them a line-by-line review that could help them in future performances, right? I think Wolff needs more advice.
It's
than
more
Steven
suited
here,
towards
but
coaching
Steven, always is
or
looking to
you know,
improve,
offering
so I hope he gets
advice
something out of it
to
as
the
well.
participants.
We will benefit from a line-by-line analysis. Because again, even React dandies watching this, those people are not going line by line. Those people are not typing out the arguments and scrolling through their notes and reviewing
That's
it
true.
hours
You're
before
not
they
wrong.
have the debate.
You're not
right, where
wrong.
they do their review or their React dandy thing, right? This may appear that it's the same as those kinds of content, but it's important to remember the
Okay,
prep that
thank
went
you
into
for
this,
flexing on
right?
me,
It is much
Booksmarts, on
harder
my
to do
own
this and
stream.
see these things in
Thank
real
you.
time. I've said this
Thank you,
already, but
Booksmarts,
bears
for
repeating
flexing on me.
that
That
these
is very
debaters,
sweet
I
of you.
don't
That's very
expect them
nice
to
of
be
you.
able to catch things like this. For this debate in
Rub it
particular,
in,
this
rub
hurts
it
Wolff.
in,
So
okay?
I think Wolff got hurt
You
by not
dick.
being able to have people look at his stuff line by line, as is evidenced by the opinions you guys have about Wolff coming out of a real-time viewing of the debate. We will point out moments when Destiny and the audience
Chat,
at large
meow.
miss Wolff's point.
Meow.
But this doesn't mean that Wolff was successful.
Meow.
My hugest thing is that rhetoric matters, optics matters, how people wind up perceiving you matters, and it matters independently of the validity of your arguments, right? He comes off very pompous, he comes off very uppity, and he comes right out of the gate with an attitude against Steven that is probably unwarranted, right? So a lot of this hurts Wolff, though he's going to look better when we do this line by line. A line by line in my style reveals things that are not immediately apparent to debaters at the time, but part of the benefit of my analysis is pointing those things out. Take these issues with a proper grain of salt, since while the debaters can learn from this, it doesn't mean it should have been easy or clear to them in the moment.
In the 3 minutes I have, I cannot speak as fast as you just did, so I won't even try. I'll try to make a couple of basic points. Every economic system in the history of the world displays the following pattern. It is born, it evolves over time, and then it dies and passes away, giving way to another one. And part of that process has always been the conviction of the people in each economic system that sooner or later they can, they should, and they will do better, overcome some of the problems and difficulties they're facing, and organize a system that better meets human needs. The process is sometimes relatively smooth, other times it's rocky. That varies with the conditions and particularly with the level of resistance from those who don't want to see the system change and shift. Capitalism, in my judgment, has been born, most would agree, has evolved over the last 3 centuries or so, and is now at that last stage. The only question now is exactly how and when the passing occurs. Likewise, in my judgment, the yearning for something better has built up in capitalism to a pretty intense level now. Whether you look at the debts of students, whether you look at the mind-bending inequality that this system generates over and over again, unless and until it is revolted against by masses of people who do something about the inequality, only to discover that as long as capitalism remains, the tendency to inequality resumes. I think people are also tired of the instability. Every 4 to 7 years, capitalism crashes.
Wait.
We've had 3 in this new century in its 20 years. Yep.
Maybe I didn't listen
right on
well enough.
schedule, every 4 to 7 years. Millions lose their jobs. Businesses
think
go
he's gonna
belly up.
do-
Cities and towns can't get
Is
the
this the
revenue
line by
they
line?
need to provide the services we depend on. One sign of the exhaustion of this system, a level of money creation, a level of debt creation we have never seen. Government debt, corporate debt, personal debt. The system is exhausted, and the entire private enterprise system is now on 24/7 government life support. I think it's over. I think that's difficult for us all to live through. And we better learn some lessons from the British Empire, from which they have been tumbling for a century. We could and should do better on the downswing than the British have been able to. And the more we talk about it and discuss it and explore it, the better our chances to make another progressive transition to a better system that we all need and will benefit from.
Okay, Destiny?
Oof, are you keeping us on a timer?
I am.
All right.
So wait, they're not.
As of March 2021, Americans rank the
Wait, what's
economy,
going
job
on?
markets, the handling of the coronavirus,
I'm
and
curious.
leadership in
I'm
Washington
curious what
as the foremost
Booksmart.
important
Okay,
challenges
I guess
facing
I should
our
have
country.
listened better.
Socialist policies would not alleviate any of these concerns. Countries have tried the socialist experiment time and time again as it's failed.
Okay,
Doctors in
so
Cuba,
it's like a
moonlight as taxi
section of the
drivers,
debate,
countries with socialized healthcare
and
haven't
then
fared much better than the
Booksmarts
U.S. in their handling of the coronavirus. And any socialist
talking about it,
regime will
right?
necessarily involve the bureaucracy
No?
of Washington even more heavily in our economy. Any country that has attempted to realize a fully socialist economy has either failed completely, such as in the case of the USSR, destroyed large
Socialism,
swaths of their economy, such as in
definition of
Venezuela,
capitalism,
or been forced to embrace more neoliberal economic
freeform
policies to
review.
realize true growth in their economy, such as in China or Vietnam. Liberal market policies work better in both theory and practice when it comes to efficiently allocating
chat.
resources to maximizing.
I like what Booksmart's doing. We're not going to watch that much of your content, Booksmarts. I don't think you would want me, like, just cannibalizing your content like that either. But we will. I do want to see your summary. Okay, so this is the summary at the very end. Because we've watched the debate, right? We've watched the debate. We know what the debate's about. Let's just, like, hear Booksmart's analysis.
Wolff clearly had a rhetorical
We're going to watch.
failing.
This is
in terms
Booksmart's Too Long Didn't Watch, which seems like a good idea.
of the entire debate. I do think that there were some logical bits that people are misunderstanding from the debate. And I don't think it's fair to say, for instance, that he's not answering questions or things like this when he is actually mixing in explicit answers in a lot of his really long-winded responses. Destiny kept his cool for a lot of this. I understand that he was rude and snarky at the end, but in my opinion, it was completely warranted, especially since the things that he was being snarky about are things where he is actually seeming to be correct. Like when he's making criticisms about the nature of that company and how Wolff was kind of putting a spin on something that almost made it incorrect. He worked hard to complete points early. So stopping Wolff from interrupting him very early is good. I liked that. Now, it does kind of tonally conflict with what he asked for, which is that they do a back and forth and not do monologues. But I like that. I think he handled like interruptions and stuff pretty well, especially later on. Even when he let Wolff interrupt him, he appealed to the audience in a way that I really enjoy. It's something we see Vosh do. It's something, hell, we saw Mel do. Being aware of how interruptions can be used to make you look better depending on how you position yourself and what you say in response to those is super duper valuable. And he does that here when he's like,
I didn't mean to interrupt your lecture. I'm sorry. Continue.
or shit like that. Those are very, very good lines for him, and they demonstrate that he is starting to tune in to how the audience is going to perceive things and how he can leave breadcrumbs for that. Not to say he didn't always do that before, but it's something I see a lot more of in this debate, and I appreciate. He did a better job than usual at keeping the tone of his slights and quips to a level at or below his interlocutor, which kind of gets back to, finding benefit in these interruptions. Now, what was bad? He took a narrow and often inflexible approach to questions, answers, and definitions. Everybody has expectations in terms of what they want in an answer to a question. However, what I see in Debate Bro people, whether it's Dario or Demon Mama or Steven, is that we often have an inflexible approach to those. If an answer doesn't fit neatly into the, 3 responses we were expecting from that person, we get upset. We think they're using filler. We think they're snaking out of things. Rather than taking a step back and looking at how you could use that answer to move the conversation forward, you throw your hands up and say, that wasn't an answer to my question. You're not answering my question. And I think that oftentimes the people that get into a habit of doing that miss opportunities to keep the conversation moving forward and miss opportunities where they could be flexible and work with those definitions and maybe have a conversation they didn't anticipate to, have. Or maybe this person had ideas or beliefs that don't conform to what you expected from them. And when you add into that a bias against lefties, for example, that Stephen clearly has, I think that this can often taint his conversations with those people and leads him to be more rude about answers than he probably ought to be. Rather than continuing on interesting or progressive topics, he opted to focus on areas that stalled the conversation. We see this in the very beginning with the 3 strains of socialism and choosing to focus on strain number 1. Failed to emphasize his 5 questions early on, and without repeating them, they become impossible to recall for the audience. I don't think anybody could read back to me what the 5 questions are. As a matter of fact, even watching it and playing it back, I'm the guy that watches Destiny at 3.5x. I had to put it at 1 and keep rewinding to get all 5 of those questions. And the fact that he never repeated what those actual questions were and just referred to the 5 questions that he had said in his intro, I think was a failure. Beyond that, if he was going to take up that little chunk of his intro with the 5 questions, I was saddened to see that he didn't focus on those as an objective for the conversation. And I would be even more dissatisfied if I heard that he characterized this conversation as somebody, again, failing to answer his 5 questions when he made no discernible effort to actually answer those 5 questions over the course of the debate, by not referring back to them, by not actually going back and explaining what they were or repeating them. But you're going to see that these are not nearly as bad as Wolff. So let's go with the good. I only have 2. Invites the nuance to be expected of a professor, even if it comes at a rhetorical cost. As somebody who used to work with professors a lot, used to work with educated people a lot, I personally have like a liking for that kind of thing. I may be biased here, but I appreciate nuance. I appreciate when you give me an answer that I didn't expect, because it's coming from a knowledge base the size of which I cannot comprehend. They have spent years and years researching something to the extent that there's no way I could match it. There's no way I could put in a similar amount of time. I simply can't on every topic. And I think the answers that they come up with and what they choose to distill from that is super valuable, whether I agree with it or disagree with it. Unfortunately, it works to his detriment because he's also long-winded and talks very slowly. So you mix that with the tone of being super aggressive and kind of shitty to Destiny, and we have an unpalatable cake, okay? We have an unpalatable cupcake.
I wonder what
here.
Booksmarts means by super aggressive.
Deeper thinking on capitalism, socialism, and their relation to the workers of the world. This is something that I really liked. I liked hearing that there was a third version of this that focuses and emphasizes the daily working life of the people out there, of the people that need to work 8 hours a day, of the people that represent the majority of the population showing up and doing their 9 to 5 every day. I liked it so much that I'll probably go and watch more of him just to kind of hear more on that topic, because I don't feel that it was fleshed out, you know? And that's partly on Stephen, but it's also partly on Wolff. I don't agree that the onus was on Wolff to focus on strain 3 throughout the entire debate, as a chatter had mentioned earlier in the first 20 minutes. But I would say that, you know, that a lot was lost there. He certainly could have done that. And I think it would have made for a better conversation per what I was interested in. Let's go into the bad here. Oh boy. He was long-winded to the point of making it difficult for both his interlocutor and the audience to see his point in answers. Case in point, how you guys were responding at the very beginning of this review. This isn't to say he doesn't answer questions, which is something I'm hearing a lot and is simply untrue. He actually gives explicit answers that a lot of people seem to have missed while watching live. He came out swinging at Destiny and turned the debate hostile, which didn't work to his advantage right out of the gate. His tone throughout the debate is rougher than Destiny's, which to the Twitch community can offer a really stark contrast, right? When Destiny actually comes off way better than this educated professor dude, you know, it looks really bad. And I think everything from the memes to the commentary around this debate reflects that, right? The structure of his answers obscures what Destiny and the audience are looking for. So while I will say that the debate bros need to work on not expecting explicit answers like in the form that they exactly want it, I will say that you are not helping when you realize that the person sitting in front of you is looking for such answers. It doesn't help to say things like,
it might be nice for you if there was one you could cling to, but that's not the way it is.
Yeah, but you can work harder, right? This is a two-way street, and you could choose to focus on single definitions that'll be more helpful to the conversation than constantly zooming out for thousands of years and including everything
it's
from
totally,
feudalism
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
slave
How are you
trade
doing?
Markets, right? Like, that was unnecessary. You don't need to do that. The moment
How you
that
doing,
you realize
brother?
that the person sitting across
K-Kona.
from you is looking for those explicit kind of like
K-Kona.
answers, Give the 2-head answers. Don't give 5-head explanations because they're simply not landing, and that was clear from the get-go. The structure of his answers obscures, yeah, okay, I read that, seems more focused on giving lectures and explanations of his ideas and histories more so than engaging with Stephen's questions and statements. He wants to give enough teasers about information and about contradictory narratives that people will go and look on their own, and they may go and look at his lectures in specific to understand better what he's talking about. And he only needs it to be like a little bit, he needs to get some curiosity out of people, and then they'll go and watch all of his stuff. That seemed to me to be what his objective was here, because he certainly failed at the debate. This comes off bad tonally to the audience, as it seems that he treats Destiny as undereducated or spends too much time on these explanations.
I mean,
I think that goes without saying. Destiny's
hit
saying
or
that
miss.
2021 is his year of
Like,
rhetoric.
if Destiny
even
gets
if I
interested in
criticize him
something,
here, just know that at the end
he
of
will-
the day, I'm really proud of him.
he will
for
learn it
choosing
forward
to
and backwards.
take that aspect of his debates
But
more seriously
some
and to
things,
actively work on fixing that and improving
sometimes
it.
he has
It's not lost on me
trouble,
that that's something that he's
I
working
think,
on, and he's gotten a
knowing
lot
what
better
to
at.
focus on. Well, I mean, it's definitely on brand. This is definitely, yeah, like that's the text is your brand. So yeah, I wouldn't tell you to change it. It's not my favorite font, but hey, whatever. If it works for Booksmarts, it works for Booksmarts. Okay, interesting. Well, cool. I haven't watched Booksmarts for a while, so it was cool to reorient myself with said content.